All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. So, a few weeks ago, I'm sitting out in Utah at a friend and client's office, and we started talking about the importance of leveraging video in our marketing. He said to me, "Hey, I've got a guy that you should really talk to. This guy's incredible. We've been working with him for a long time. When it comes to YouTube, nobody understands YouTube better than this guy." Came knowing the person that I was meeting with, these guys don't work with chumps. They only work with the best of the best. And so I took his recommendation pretty seriously. And as I looked into our guest, what I realized is that over the last 7 years, he's worked with thousands of clients. And he's worked with them not only in growing things through YouTube, but YouTube ads and so forth. As I dug around and asked a few people, it came unanimous. He is the number one authority in the space. Worked with eight figures, nine-figure companies, and so forth. So this is Beyond Seven Figures podcast, and I'd almost be remiss if we didn't talk about video marketing and the importance of video and taking your business beyond seven figures because it is such a critical component of the way that people engage with digital content. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Aleric Heck. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited.
Dude, I I never gave video enough credit back in the day. I'm one of those guys that don't spend a whole ton of time watching a whole bunch of videos and so forth. And so, for me, I never gave it as much credit. But I was also the guy that didn't believe Bitcoin, when it was doing 50 cents was going to go crazy. I didn't think that mobile marketing was going to really be something big. And so I've always sort of reserved how I felt because nobody's ever called me normal. I don't do anything normally, right? I've always reserved the way that I felt and went back to the data. The data has always continued to support video as a leading means of communicating with a digital market. What can you tell me to sort of back that up?
Yeah, and ultimately, it's a really good question because video is just such a key to actually connecting with your ideal clients. And the way I really like to explain it, and you and I both know that the value of speaking on stage and connecting with people, I say that video is really second only to that on stage and shaking hands kind of experience. But here's the thing, that's not as scalable as video. Video is infinitely scalable. And so you can only go to so many events, speak at so many events, shake so many hands, have so many conversations. And so if you want to bottle that up and get the next best thing that then is a lot more scalable, that's where video comes into play because people can see you, they can hear you, they can see you visualize different things as well. You're connecting with them in a really human way through the screen and in a scalable way as well, which I think is what makes video work so well, right? If a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000 words. And I think
Right.
that's really the key.
Now, many of us have done video for a long time and we'll put video out there and then it crickets, right? So you put video, you spend all this time, all this effort in creating a video, then you get crickets. Some people may have been at it for a long time and they just don't get the results that they want. So even those people that follow a specific framework, even the ones that say, okay, well, I know I'm supposed to have a hook, I'm supposed to do this and so forth. What's the difference between a video that gets traction and one that doesn't?
So that's a great question. And there are those different components inside of the video, but it's also one of the reasons that I specifically love the combination of great videos with ads and with targeting. So we'll talk about, YouTube ads. I mean, that's really my core expertise, which is getting that key video that's going to educate, provide value, but also incite action in front of the right person at the right time. But even if you're growing a YouTube channel more organically, there's ways to get those videos in front of people via things like in-feed ads. These are ads that appear in search results or as suggested videos. So it's essentially paying to get to the top of the line. It's similar to, in the world of pay-per-click and SEO, right? Of course, an SEO strategy is a long tail strategy, just like a YouTube channel. Building up and creating a lot of content is a long tail strategy. But then what you can do to amplify that and actually get some traction earlier on is put dollars there too. So that's where you're able to start investing into the ad side, which we could talk more about, which is the ad side on YouTube, whether that's getting your traditional YouTube ads, the ads that appear in front of other videos that drive direct traffic. A lot of people associate that, primarily with YouTube ads, and that's what we do a lot of. But there's also these in-feed ads that allow you to get your videos in front of people, essentially promote and boost exposure on your existing videos. And I think, like a lot of things, there's almost these two different axes, right? And one is time, and then the other is going to be the money you invest. And if you actually turn in the third dimension, the other is the quality of the videos you produce. So really, those are the three things: is how you get better at producing these videos, following the right strategy, how much time have you dedicated towards that, to building up that overall catalog, and then also how much money have you invested to actually get those videos in front of the right people and get it some early traction.
So start with the last question first. When it comes to money invested, is YouTube advertising and being great on YouTube, does that require deep pockets?
So that's the thing that's really exciting about YouTube ads, and really about online ads in general, is unlike the traditional, former advertising world where you'd have to commit massive, massive amounts of money up front. With YouTube ads, you can actually dip your toes in the water, start experimenting and diving in, and then really ramp up over time. Now, I do recommend having enough of initial budget to really test. So I'll give a couple of examples, the two types of ads I talked about, because I know people, like, they hear that, but they're like, well, what does that actually mean, right? So in terms of traditional YouTube ads in front of other videos, what we're finding right now is the minimum budget for an ad campaign, and I'm happy to share as much details, about what should be in an ad campaign, all that. But in terms of an ad campaign, about $25 per day is what we're seeing as a minimum to start. Now, obviously, you could, sky's the limit, scale that up. But then I never recommend having just one campaign, though. You always want to be able to beat the control. So I would recommend a minimum starting budget with traditional YouTube ads, the ads that appear in front of other videos, about $50 a day, $25 for one campaign, $25 for the other. That way, if you run this ad, if you just have one ad, you don't know if it's going to be the best ever, or maybe it's not performing as well. But if you have something you can always test it against, you can create a ladder where, as one outperforms, you turn the other one off, you see if you can beat the control, and it just gives you a little bit more ability to test there. In terms of in-feed ads, even if that is a little bit more than some people are looking for, especially if people are starting off, they're just looking to really dip their toes in the water. With in-feed ads, the ads that allow you to actually grow your channel, you can start those as little as $5 to $10 a day, just promoting the existing YouTube content that you're doing. And I even have a free video on my YouTube channel that covers exactly how to do that, and walks through step by step how to get started with something like that.
So when we look at cost of acquisition, right? Cost of whether we want to talk CPLs, cost per lead. On average, ballpark, let's just take an agency like yours, for example, or a typical agency. On average, what would a cost per lead be for YouTube ads versus a cost per lead if they're using Meta or Google Ads or LinkedIn or any other paid service? How does all that compare?
Great question. And I also have to say, it really depends on the business. It depends on exactly who you're looking to target. What I can say is there's also lead quality built in. So I'm actually going to explain why YouTube ads have higher lead quality as part of this, but I'm going to answer the question first. What we've found is the quality from YouTube, because they have intent, because they're seeing a video, there tends to be higher than other platforms which are more interruption based. People are kind of scrolling there. And so ultimately, what we've found is on YouTube, you're going to have a higher quality lead and a higher intent lead. So versus other platforms, versus Google search, pay-per-click, also versus LinkedIn, you're going to see a lower lead cost on YouTube. What we've seen is in the past, you used to also see a lower lead cost on YouTube versus Facebook. Now, it's oftentimes a pretty similar lead cost. However, the quality is very different. Right. So in the past, when less people are advertising on YouTube, earlier on, you used to have the advantage on all fronts. Right now, it is kind of comparable. And sometimes, especially if you have more broad or open targeting, you might even technically get a lower initial lead cost on Facebook. However, it's made up for on the back end when you look at qualified leads and leads that actually make it to, let's say, a booked call or a purchase, generating that ROAS. What we see is that YouTube is going to outperform across the board. And we've seen this time and time again with our clients, because you have a higher quality, higher intent lead. One example, a lot of people run to video sales letters or webinars. On Facebook, it used to be, again, a while ago, you'd have a decent show up rate, but now a lot of people are having their view rate on. They're not necessarily like actually in that learner's mindset. On YouTube, people are watching a video. So if you send them to a on-demand webinar, or you send them to a video sales letter, or you send them somewhere where there's another video, they're already in the video watching mindset. And so they're more likely to actually go and watch. And so that's going to be a higher intent, lead as well, because they're going to actually go through the funnel at that point instead of potentially needing to follow up with them via email.
Got it. So, a couple of things. One, what we've determined is that consumption drives conversion. The more that somebody consumes your content, the more likely they are actually going to buy. And we ran a study a while back and we found that 7.5% of marketing qualified leads will convert between 0 and 90 days, but 42.5% will convert at some point between 90 days and 2 years from now. Now, when we looked at that data, we thought maybe that there was an issue to some extent of some of the work that we're doing. We needed to figure out, like, how do we shorten that sales cycle? So we started pulling back the onion on so many different things. And we also compared it with a number of our clients, and we found a very similar formula: 7.5% MQLs and so forth in marketing qualified leads. It's different. Sales qualified leads, for those who aren't familiar with terms, sales qualified leads are those people who already are showing buyer intent, they're qualified. This is just marketing qualified leads. So when we looked deeper, we found something that actually almost stumbled across by mistake. That was the people who converted were the ones that consumed the most amount of content. And the reason why it took so much longer to convert down the end is because it actually took them that much longer to consume the content. Consumption does drive conversion. YouTube ads are a great way to at least begin that consumption train.
What you can do, which I think the things that you can do, is you can actually retarget people with those in-feed ads we talked about. That's not just a top of funnel strategy. We talked about it as a top of funnel strategy, potentially grow your channel. But imagine running that as retargeting. They come in from your main YouTube ad that's maybe a 3-minute video, hook, educate, call to action, provides value, gets them to sign up for a training, but maybe they don't buy right away. They're one of that 90% of leads that don't take action right away. But they could also be part of that 40% that will ultimately take action with enough touch points. Well, what we can do is actually, like you said, speed that up, but you can actually take your content that you're publishing anyways to YouTube, run it as in-feed ads to your subscribers or people who are just watching your content, not necessarily just subscribers. But what you do is retarget all the people in that list. So maybe they've never subscribed, but they've opted in for your training, they viewed your website. What you can do is you can go in and target them with those videos that are just warming people up. It's a 20-minute video. Maybe it's a podcast interview you did. And you can start showing those to people as an in-feed ad that just pops up in their suggested videos as they're scrolling and they're going through YouTube. Now you're actually helping speed that up. You also could have, content that you're promoting on Meta, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then now you're being omnipresent and you're just getting that content right in front of them.
Brilliant. I love that. All right. So why YouTube instead of LinkedIn or Meta or Instagram? Like, why are you the YouTube expert? Why did you not decide to go on all the others?
There's two answers to that question. In general, you compare YouTube versus Meta ads versus LinkedIn ads. One of the big ads that I become known for is YouTube ads beat Facebook ads. I ran millions and millions of views to that ad. And I actually explain and I back up why that is, not just with results, but also with how the ads work. On Meta, on LinkedIn, on all these platforms that are feed-based platforms, people are scrolling. It's all interruption-based marketing. So you're getting in front of people and you got to be like, hey, stop what you're doing and pay attention to this and potentially opt in. But people are in this mode where they're just consuming and scrolling, call it mindlessly scrolling, right? And so that's higher up the funnel in terms of awareness and getting people to pay attention than it is actually having intent. Now, Google search ads, on the other hand, yes, that's further down the funnel and it's got a lot of buyer intent, but it's also very expensive. It doesn't have video baked in. It's really just a line of text. People click on it. The landing page got to do a lot of the work. So YouTube is this perfect formula where you can get in front of people. They have to watch the first 5 seconds of the ad before they can skip, right? And so now you get in front of them, you hook them, capture their attention, you educate, you provide some value, and then you have a call to action at the end that leads them to take action from there. But that ad, you can get in front of people that have recently made a certain Google search or YouTube search. Maybe they've gone to specific websites before, watched certain channels, or you could also reach people that just have an in-market audience, right? So you could build out these audiences inside of Google based on who you're looking to target and reach. So now you know details about this person. They're now watching videos on YouTube. You get in front of them at the perfect moment when they have more intent to actually lead them to take action and go down the rest of your funnel. And that's one of the reasons that YouTube ads just work so well, is because you're actually getting in front of them at that perfect moment.
of the other metrics, and this is what I was trying to remember earlier. One of the other metrics that we look at is what's known as brand recall. And I wrote about this quite a bit in my book, The Predictable Profits Playbook. We talked about when buyers decide to buy, they're actually usually not waiting for an ad to click or waiting for an email to take action. When buyers buy in, we ended up creating this formula where we said, well, what if we were to add those two numbers together? Add the number of people that search for the brand plus the people that went directly to the URL and plot that on a graph. We plotted that and then we said, how does that line up with income? Believe it or not, there was nearly a one-on-one correlation between brand recall and income. What I found is historically, YouTube is one of the best vehicles for supporting brand recall. So if you were to match up your brand recall during the same times that you're running your YouTube advertising, you're likely going to see a correlation with your YouTube advertising and a even further ROI on the work that you're doing with YouTube, just not tracked through the YouTube platform. Does that make sense, by the way?
Absolutely. And I know that Google has certain brand lift studies. They'll even run studies on different accounts. And these are usually for more bigger kind of brands that are doing more branding campaigns. We work more direct response, but it's all aligned, right? Even in the direct response side, exactly what you're saying is true. People are looking up what is your brand? What's your name? They're looking that up on Google. And I bet you I could probably plot that too. But there's this degree of a celebrity effect that you create, especially with expert based businesses. Now, this is specific to that, but it's the same thing with products too. It's the as seen on TV effect for
Yeah.
products, but now it's as seen on YouTube. They see the YouTube ad. Now they're getting that recall. And then for expert based businesses, coaching, consulting, it's the celebrity effect, right? You're being seen on YouTube. It feels really different than popping up on an Instagram ad, maybe with an image or on a Facebook ad, even a video on those platforms where audio is off by default. They don't feel like they know you as much. It's like, I see you on YouTube. And I think that that's just a really, really powerful thing to have because I've gone to events, Funnel Hacking Live or Traffic and Conversion Summit, spoke there recently, and I'll have people come up to me and they'll have seen a lot of the ads. And I know other people that spend just as much, if not more money, but on other platforms. And I think part of it is just the YouTube effect, right? It's just, it elevates the perceived value just by being there on video, connecting with them. They feel like they know you. The know, like, and trust factor is really big on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. So now let's say our listeners are saying, you know what? This sounds really cool. Aleric, I think I'm going to get into YouTube and explore it. How does somebody even begin to go down this road?
Yeah. So in terms of YouTube, I can give a few really, really good frameworks that we found works well. And then also give like a gift. It's a PDF. It's going to walk through step by step how people can go and actually set this up. But basically what you want to do is start out with the ad. The ad, we found there's three main components. There's a hook, educate, call to action. We kind of alluded to that earlier. And I know it sounds really simple, but it's because it works. A great way to do it is to start with a big idea, right? YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. What if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic, send it directly into your own funnel? Those are a couple of our top hooks. YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Facebook ad costs are going through the roof. Even when you have great ads, they're almost impossible to scale. In this video, I'm going to show you why YouTube ads outperform Facebook ads and how you can actually start using that to scale to 7 to 8 figures in your business. That's one of our top ads. You see how it like gives them an aha moment, introduces a new idea, frames them for how you're going to educate. You then provide some mini education. So in my ad, I show them the screen. I show them what they can do with YouTube, why it's better. So it's these different components that you talk about inside of the ad that then lead people to wanting to receive more and take action off the back of the ads. That's the hook, educate, call to action. You really want to educate and provide some value. If it's more of an expert-based business, you want to teach a little bit. Where do they need to go? What's that going to do for them? And why should they take action now?
And the teaching part, when we look at the platform itself, right? I could say, look, if you're going to run an ad on Facebook, entertainment probably would work out well because people are there to be entertained on Facebook. When you're on YouTube, particularly for when people are in a buying framework, they're looking for how-tos. They're actually looking to be educated, and YouTube is the platform that people go. You don't go to Instagram and be like, I want to be educated on how to grow a business, but you may do that when you go to YouTube. So I can see why, knowing the platform that you're on, why education would be big. And one tip for our listener too is there's also this study that went out on sales closers, and they wanted to see what's the difference between those who have performed to the highest level and then second, third place, and so forth. And unanimously, the top performers in every sales organization, what they did is they offered a new and fresh perspective. And so the same thing would have to go with YouTube ads is being able to offer a new and fresh perspective. Because if I tell you something that you already know, then at that point I haven't differentiated myself. That's very cool, Aleric. Where do you see now, fast forward 2024, 2025, looking into the future, all these other platforms and technologies and everything sort of taking shape? What are the trends right now that you're seeing?
Yeah, and that's actually a great segue into the targeting side because what we're seeing is A is really taking everything by storm, even if you don't realize it's happening. So Google has shifted, and they started making this shift really a couple of years ago, but now they're really doubling down on their algorithmic based targeting. And essentially, it was very much like traditional media buying, right? You're going in, I want to target ads in front of these videos or target ads in front of these YouTube channels. But a couple of years ago, that really shifted. YouTube really like pulled the lever and shifted it over to audience-based targeting. So targeting based on who that person is. And there's still an intent component. What have they searched for recently? What website have they gone on recently that's potential either competitor or complementary site where you're going to be interested in what you do? So with targeting, what we found is Google has created millions of data points on every user, right? They own YouTube, Google, so they see everything you're searching for, everything you're watching. They also have Gmail. There's a reason it's free. They're gathering a lot of information. They have Google Analytics. We really have the most data out of any company. They are capturing all of this information about every single user. So they're using this to build profiles around each person. Now, here's the thing though. If you just go into Google's AI and you just go in and you set up that targeting as more of like default targeting, then you're just going to get the average baseline results. You might go in and say, hey, I want to reach people who are interested in business consulting, right? There's kind of pre-built audiences that Google has. So you can get good results for all the reasons we talked about before. But if you want alpha results, well, you got to train the AI. It's similar to the stock market world. One of the best, especially as algorithms took over the stock market, this happened many years ago. One of the top professions became these quants, right? Their whole job is to train the algorithm and build algorithms that are designed to be better than everybody else and get alpha returns in the stock market. What we want to do is the same thing on YouTube. So instead of just using the stock pre-built audiences that you can create, what we want to do is create our own audiences inside of YouTube and Google and actually target people based on what they're interested in or watching. And essentially building this they're called custom audiences based on who that ideal person is and seeing which one works the best. And so you can actually target people based on general kind of interests. So this is where you're putting in details. But Google, unlike Facebook, where Facebook has a lot of pre-built interests, Google, you can type any word and Google will understand what that is. But you have to also know what words to type, right? So are people interested in, or collections of words? And that could build what's called an in-market or affinity audiences, custom audiences. You can also target people based on searches they've done before. You can also target people don't know this, with URL audiences. So targeting people based on websites they've been on in the past. You can also go in and target complementary sites. So I'll do a lot of the top, funnel builders. And I know if you're building an online funnel, you probably want to market your business online. So you're probably a potential client of ours. So I'll take that. I'll layer it with household income because Google has some pretty accurate household income targeting. So I'll do top 10% household income earners layered with going to the websites of these funnel builders. And I've got a really, really solid audience that I can go and target. And so there's this way to go and pinpoint who you're actually looking to reach and train Google's AI in your targeting.
I hope our listeners picked up on the fact that you could actually, or they could target their competitors. I've always said that I'm not interested in the first click. What I want is I want people to find me while they're doing their research. Because the average buyer is going to go through at a bare bones minimum, 27 different cycles of exploration and evaluation before they finally make a buying decision. And that number continues to go up. So when they click on a competitor's link, that first click is usually going to be the most expensive. The way that most competitors do it, they go to Google, it's usually a lower intent type ad. They click on it, and it just starts the process. You're going to get a far more efficient spend when you wait a little bit longer and you tie into that exploration and evaluation and being able to retarget somebody or being able to create an audience where they've already been to a competitor's website sets you up to potentially win that lead. So very cool. Awesome. Now I know we're pushing up against the clock. Aleric, people want to learn more about you. Biggest best tip for our listeners who want to take their business beyond seven figures, what would that be?
Yeah, I think the biggest tip is really doubling down on video. And that's both your ads and your organic marketing. Obviously, organic YouTube videos, also building up a back catalog, which is very different than every other social media platform. Your organic videos is building up video SEO for you. So even if it feels like you're producing a lot of these videos, seeing that they're getting views, but maybe not quite the traction you want. Well, there's in-feed ads that can actually get those videos in front of more people. It's different than in-stream. In-stream is driving more direct conversions. In-feed is growing your channel. But also, you're building a back catalog so that when people search or they go through, like you said, people want to consume content. Let's say they get on a sales call and maybe they don't enroll right away. Well, you send them a link to your YouTube channel and now they do the YouTube binge. We've all done it. It's very less likely people do that on Facebook or Instagram or these other platforms. Maybe they do, but on YouTube, the YouTube binge is really common. I know I've done it. I've gone on YouTube and they've just watched a bunch of videos about it or a solution, or if you're an expert, maybe they're going to your channel and they're watching your videos. And that is a really prime indicator that they're likely to make that conversion. Like you said, it's really all about that content. So it's the combination of the organic strategy on YouTube and the ads. And there's, of course, the ads to reach in front of people to drive direct conversions, but there's also ads to drive channel growth and drive people either back to your channel after they already converted or they visit your site, or very top of funnel, just have people have their first interaction with you be maybe seeing an initial ad, watching a video into your world, and then retargeting them and nurturing them from there. But having a big presence on YouTube and with video is a really strong key. And nowadays, you create one YouTube video, you can turn that into daily short form content, even using an AI tool like Opus Clip. You throw it in there. So creating that YouTube content and running YouTube ads is highly, highly recommended if you're looking to scale.
Awesome, man. Now people want to learn about you and the work that you do and the gift that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Where do we send them?
Absolutely. So I've got a gift for everybody who is listening and watching. It's our 19-page YouTube ad strategy PDF. Walks you through step-by-step exactly how our strategy works. You can go to adoutreach.com/gift. That's adoutreach.com/GIFT. Just adoutreach.com/gift. And you can download that 19-page YouTube ad strategy PDF. I also have a software that I've developed as well that does some of this ad targeting we talked about using AI. So a lot of people have asked me, okay, well, how can we use AI to make this even faster? We didn't dive into this as much here. I also created a software called Keyword Search that does AI ad targeting. And that's also something, a really good resource. There's a 5-day unlimited free trial. That's just keywordsearch.com. And then people can follow me everywhere on YouTube, all major social media platforms. Just look up Aleric Heck and you can see my content there. I have some really great free content on YouTube that can walk you through how some of these strategies work. You can check out as well.
Cool. So that is adoutreach.com/gift and then keywordsearch.com. Also want to follow them on YouTube, on all the other social platforms. And so, Mark, this was fantastic. Thank you very much. For all of our listeners that are also looking to take their business beyond seven figures, remember to check us out at predictableprofits.com. Again, that's predictableprofits.com. This is Charles Gaudette with my friend Aleric Heck, and I will see you in another video.
Awesome.